Hi, I'm Louisa DC, and in this video I'm going to talk about why I don't believe you need feedback to write a book. So a lot of people write to me asking if I will give feedback and critiques or hold workshops in my memoir writing program 90 Day Memoir, and I don't actually include any feedback or critiques in this program, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So before I get into why I don't give feedback or critiques in my 90 Day Memoir program, I want you to know a little bit about my background so that you know that this has come from me trying every type of sort of writing course and workshop that there is out there. So if you've never heard of me before, my name's Louisa DC and I've written and published 2 books. They were both travel memoirs, or one is a family memoir hybrid. And I've also written a lot of other books. Some never saw the light of day, some I never even submitted anywhere, but I've been writing for a very long time. I also used to work as a freelance journalist. I studied professional writing and editing at RMIT, which is a postgraduate program in Melbourne, Australia, where we were given the feedback model. We were workshopping our work every week. We were sending off parts of our novel. I was writing a novel at the time for feedback from our teachers, and none of this ever helped me. Okay, so the first thing that I did, rather than get feedbacks or join a writing workshop or start joining Facebook groups and looking for other writers to send my pages to, when I was working on both my first published book and my second. So with my first published book, Love and Other U-Turns, I started writing that in, I think it was 2008. Something that I realized is that writing and time to write is a real luxury. And what helps my writing in terms of books, writing a book, even if it's non-fiction, is very, very different to writing an 800 or even a 1500 word article, which I was doing at that time. I was freelancing for a number of top publications in Australia. I needed time to myself, I needed space, and I needed less noise. So what I did with that first book, Love and Other U-Turns, when I was drafting it, was I actually only worked on that at night. I worked on that when everyone else in my block was asleep. I worked on it when I'd had a big break from my journalism work for the day. So I would finish my journalism work, which often involved interviews and phone calls and correspondence with people. And then I would have sort of a transition period and go for a walk. And then I would really get myself into that submerged space where I could start drafting. You need time. You need time and space. And the reason you need this is because part of the whole work of writing a book, particularly a memoir, which is making meaning of your memories, making meaning of your experiences, part of the reason you need less noise, not more, and more time is because it's a significant work of art, and other people's noises and other people's voices and interruptions and opinions and feedback can completely disrupt the way the story flows. So the first thing you need is to block out that time, and this is why I include all these exercises around figuring out when you can focus your energy on this book and be uninterrupted, because you're basically building a world in your head. And if you think about it, if you start to get feedback from people while you're building that world, you know, it's like building something with a committee. It's never going to get anywhere, and you'll get so confused. I've actually seen some writers come into my program, 90 Day Memoir, having done that feedback model and being a lot worse off from it. They're very, very confused because the story is still figuring itself out when you are writing those first significant drafts, okay? So that's the first piece of it, is you need time and space and less noise, not more, okay? Because the reason for this is part of becoming a writer and part of becoming an author, someone who does know how to write a book, is learning to trust yourself. And this is why I don't get you submitting, you know, your pages in 90 Day Memoir. If you think that a certain thing is your universal theme, and if you write a focus sentence that works for you, that's wonderful. It's gonna be a bit bubbly though. It's gonna be a little bit confused and still shaping itself in that first draft. If I tell you something is right or wrong, it means nothing. it just needs to work for you. It's changing every minute. That's the process. That's the creative process. You'll go for a walk after writing your particular words for that day, and you might have a complete epiphany that changes the shape of the scene. So by sending things to people for their feedback, or even asking if your focus sentence is really a focus sentence, or if your hook is really a hook when you haven't actually written any of the story yet, this can really confuse everything and slow you down. The thing is, you're finding out the story as you write it. This is why I'm so specific and intentional in the way that 90-Day Memoir is mapped out in terms of structurally. You're working through the 12 stages of the hero's journey. You're working through the 3-act story structure. You're working through really significant memoir writing prompts and exercises which don't apply to fiction or novels or other types of book length work. And you really need to learn to trust yourself, and that's when you really elevate as a writer, when you start to trust yourself and you go, oh, okay, no, that's what that meant, and that's why I needed to write that whole 5 pages on that scene, because I'm going to turn it into this sentence. So learning to trust yourself is a real gift and a talent and a skill, and you can't build that by getting constant feedback on every page or every week on your words. Until you have that draft, it's pointless getting feedback. So get the story down as well as you possibly can before you show it to anyone. Write as much of it as you can, write it as well as you can, redraft it, revise it. Yeah, it's grueling work, but it's art and it's satisfying, and you're making meaning of your life, and you're creating something that is really special and no one else in this world can create, because it's your story.